All right, welcome, boys and girls, to another episode of the IDP Plus podcast. And we are coming to you live this week, not because of any good reason. There was definitely some technical difficulties over the past couple of days, making it a little hard to get these handy dandy spreadsheets that you see and hear about every week together. So we are doing our first live episode of the IDP Plus podcast. Thank you for tuning in live or listening/watching after the fact. Please definitely, throw us a subscription over there on YouTube or Spotify or iTunes, wherever you consume the content. So I am Steve Tomasin, aka Dynasty Santa, your host for today, along with Big Sean Teague, who what's up, Sean?
What's up, man?
I love your so you're taking my adoration for one of our normal co-hosts, Mike Sicoli here, who I have, named Big Double Underscore. So you are going Big Single Underscore here in lieu of Mike Sicoli, who or Matt Record also neither could join us this week. So the schedule got a little funky. We're post holidays. We weren't able to do our normal recording last night, so things are a little hectic, but we're gonna take care of you guys this week. So so we are on to week 13. Essentially, we're gonna do our week 12 roundup. How did you fare this week, Sean?
I actually did pretty good, all things considered.
Nice.
We didn't have very good games this week overall. We were just talking about that. But my defense carried me through most of my leagues, so that was
love to hear that. Love to hear when it felt. We were talking pre-show how this week felt very on both offense and defense. It felt kind of very feast or famine, right? There was like some super great scores, but it felt like that kind of middle. It was like all or nothing this week. I don't know. That was just kind of a feeling I had. Maybe it was just my team sucked. So while some of my teams did really well, and then some of them just totally shit the bed this week. So that's just kind of how it felt to me. So yes. Big Matt. If you guys are watching live and have comments or questions as we're going through the games, we would love for you to throw them into the comments, and we will hit you right here during the live show. So Matt, what's up, Matt? Miss you, buddy. And I believe Matt will be back with us next week. So excited for that. All right, we are going to get right into the Packers-Lions for Thanksgiving. The Lions continue to lose on Thanksgiving. This one, I was shocked. I really thought, because they took care of business, I believe, earlier in the season against Green Bay, quite easily. If I'm recalling correctly, maybe I'm not, but this one was pretty much Green Bay dominant throughout most of the game here. So very interesting to see it shake out that way.
I grabbed some food. We were in the middle of one of the first suppers there, or big feast we were having, and I just flipped on the phone real quick, and it was like 20-0, like right away, or some crazy score. So it caught me off guard.
And part of the reason is Rashawn Gary finally decided to have a week. Now, this guy, I've been very we all love his talent, and we know this is his ceiling. But his floor this year has just been brutal. And depending on the size of your league, Rashawn Gary's definitely lost you some weeks. If you had him in this week, he probably helped you win this week. However, with how bad he's been over the past couple of weeks from a fantasy standpoint, you may have not even had him in your lineup because this was not a particularly good matchup. Jared Goff has been really good at not taking sacks so far this year. He's among the league leaders in not allowing pressures to convert to sacks. So this was definitely a surprising outcome, I would say, for Rashawn Gary to have 3 sacks, the only sacks in the entire game that you can see there, and he hogged them all. So, hey, obviously in our dynasty leagues, he is a, top coveted edge rusher asset, probably in the solid tier 2 of edge rushers, right? But for your redraft leagues, it's just been incredibly lumpy for his production week to week so far this year. So what are you doing with Gary here? I mean, I assume you're still in on him in dynasty, but redraft, do you just roll him out moving forward and hope that you get these spike weeks and you kind of just take the crap weeks to go with it, or what are you doing?
Yeah, Dynasty for sure. You're excited from
Mhm.
seeing another big game, but man,
Mhm.
redraft.
Yeah.
You don't start him without understanding he could give you a huge donut.
Mhm.
So you're taking a big risk. Personally, I don't want that big risk. Right now, we're getting into
Mhm.
trying to scrap into the playoffs, trying to get that
Right.
last little push. So
Mhm.
I'm looking for somebody who's a little more consistent, has a higher floor.
Mhm.
But if I'm already sitting well and I want to shoot for that big score, I would might
Yeah.
risk it.
Yeah, yeah. It really depends, I think, on your A, your personality, and B, the makeup of your team. If you're like really solid elsewhere and can afford to take the ceiling shot on Gary, I think that's a great thing to do. If you're in a shower league, you're fighting for the playoffs. Honestly, this could be an outlier game, so I'd be maybe a little more cautious there in just rolling him out, expecting these results here moving forward. So I totally agree. But yeah, dynasty, he remains. Especially remember, he's coming off this injury. He still only played 51% of the snaps in this one, which is he's been hovering around this like between 50 and 60%. And this just happened to be a spike game. So keep that in mind too. He hasn't totally ramped up to what we like to see. He's not like the Pittsburgh guys who are out there, 80 to 90% of snaps. He's hovering in this like 50 to 60% range. Really, really tough to bet on that snap amount and this outcome every week. So we are preaching a little bit of caution here going forward on Rashawn Gary. You could see another reason we have some of the high scores here, especially Green Bay dominating with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the top 6 scores, is because their 100% of snaps was 84 defensive snaps. Meanwhile, Detroit on defense only had 56 total to their disposal, and why we have a cornerback, Jerry Jacobs, topping the list for the Lions this week. We also saw Alex Anzalone get injured. We don't really know the severity of that injury just yet. So what we're also doing for you this week here is we have highlighted in red some of the top guys that we think could be waiver relevant for this game. So I'm just going to go down those names. We've got Jonathan Owens, played 100%, had a monster game. 12 tackles, 8 of them solo, a tackle for a loss, a fumble recovery. Did he return that for a touchdown, or was it just because wait, 16,
He did return
20?
that for a touchdown. Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Yes, that all makes sense. So return fumble for a touchdown. So I mean, as long as so okay, let me put it. Jonathan Owens right now has been fully taking over for Darnell Savage, who was on IR. So we have to keep our eyes peeled to there because I don't think they placed him on season ending, but it's also been more than 4 weeks, or possibly this was the 4th week. At this point in time, I have no.
They have
Yeah.
him practicing. Like,
Okay.
so he has been designated to return, but he was still a scratch this past week. So
So yeah.
you got to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Jonathan Owens, maybe if he's still somehow out there, don't go mortgaging the farm for him. But if Darnell Savage is going to continue remaining out, Owens is the direct replacement for Darnell Savage. So if Savage is going to be active coming out, we could see Owens, boom, drop off a cliff. So just be careful there. The other guy who's right beneath him, Anthony Johnson, who played 100% of snaps, is in for Rudy Ford. So Rudy Ford, not on IR, but I think he's missed the past 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah,
At
he's
least
been in and out a lot.
he's been like questionable and then not playing. Like it's very annoying with Rudy Ford. So as long as Rudy Ford is out, Anthony Johnson is your direct backup there. But again, as soon as they are officially active, either of them, both of these guys, boom, could turn back into pumpkins. So just be careful there too. We've got, of course, Isaiah McDuffie. Whenever either Quay Walker or Devondre Campbell is out, boom, McDuffie gets entered back into the picture. So we'll have to see, of course, the severity of Devondre Campbell. I don't quite think we know that just yet. But again, if he's going to be out, and Quay Walker's been banged up all season. So honestly, McDuffie might be a great guy to just stash on your bench, depending on the depth of your league, and just hang on to him for the rest of the year because especially the Packers aren't making the playoffs. If depending on these guys' injuries, they might shut them down. So I mean, he's definitely one of your best like stash candidates if you can afford to stash a guy and then just throw him right into that starting lineup once we know the game statuses of both Quay Walker and Devondre Campbell going forward there. We also had an injury to Alex Anzalone, so both Derek Barnes and Jack Campbell become potentially viable. We expect, as gross as it is to say, we expect Derek Barnes to take over the number one linebacker spot there for Anzalone, but then Campbell would move up to the LB2. And we saw Derek Barnes get 95% of snaps just last week with everybody healthy. So, and we know that Jack Campbell's a better overall talent. So who knows? He might have finally an opportunity to open up here. But again, Anzalone's status isn't really well known. We don't even know if he's actually going to miss time or not. So these are kind of flyer Hail Mary guys right now. And then Aleem McNeil, I mean, shoot, if you're playing defensive tackle required leagues and you're getting 80% of snaps, I know his production wasn't all that great this week, but that's how he goes. I mean, but for a defensive tackle, he's got the ceiling there. So he's very much a ceiling play. And if these snaps are going to remain this strong, it's tough to, just ignore a guy like that, even if you're stashing him as kind of a backup. So is there anybody else you wanted to talk about from this game?
No, I think you pretty much nailed it. I really like the McNeil pick. He's a guy I have streamed several times this year, depending on matchups or buys, injuries, whatever. I think he's a very solid play. No, awesome. I think you got it.
All righty. That will take us then to the Commanders and the Cowboys game. This was dominated by the Dallas defense. We had Deron Bland have his historic 5th interception returned for a touchdown. That is an NFL best now, a new NFL record. So always cool for something like that to happen. Of course, it happened on Thanksgiving. So that was really cool. But again, another Dallas game that was essentially a blowout. So we're going to have goofy, production here, and it's going to be tough again to take away much solid information on the Dallas side. So with that being said, we'll quickly take a look at Washington, and I'm really just going to touch on their red guys for right now. So we had Cody Barton return. We definitely let you guys know about that in the written content. So if you missed out on all of our great sales here leading up, to Thanksgiving and Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all that, we were running some really awesome deals. So if you want full access to that written content where it's going to give you all these little nuggets, stuff that develops later in the week, use that IDP Plus Pod promo code to get 10% off. That's IDP +pod. And so we told you Cody Barton was coming back, bench David Mayo. You see, he did not record it. He's not on this list. He did not record a stat. I don't know his snap count off the top of my head, but pretty sure it was 0, considering Barton played 100%. And where's Jamin Davis? He's probably in here somewhere. But I assume he played 100%. Where is Jamin Davis?
He's at 70.
Okay. Oh, he was down to 70. Interesting. So it looks like their roles are officially back to what they were pre-Barton's injury, and that Barton is the clear-cut number 1. So if you had people drop him, not hold him on IR, he is a hot pickup because, again, he's okay. Yeah, there's Jamin Davis, 76%. It looks like they had the same amount of points in this one, but give me the guy that's playing 100%, 100 times out of 100. We know that I'm not a big Jamin Davis fan. He seems to be living and dying by sacks most of the time this year. And now that Barton's back, that's going to get even worse. So yeah, you like Cody Barton here going forward?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Davis did nothing to make us think he would take that role away from him. Good to see him jump right back into 100%. So they didn't even ease him in. They just said, go get it.
Exactly. Very nice to see that. So yeah, David Mayo, shallow leagues, he's gone. Even in your deeper leagues, you could probably move on. I mean, unless you're betting on a Jamin Davis or Cody Barton re-injury. So we've got Percy Butler highlighted there, the free safety, still playing 100% of snaps. He outdid Cameron Curl in this one. I mean, he's been pretty solid here for the past few weeks. So and is probably still out there in a lot of leagues. So you could do a lot worse than Percy Butler here. And your leagues that are starting like 3 to 4 defensive backs, I would definitely at least have him rostered. And this was a good matchup. I'm surprised Curl didn't do a lot better, but who knows with Barton bag, maybe not as much opportunities got up to his level, and sometimes the safeties just work out funky like that. And then Casey Tuhill down here, only 3 points in this one, but 81% of snaps. I'm pretty sure that's his season high on the year of snap count. So I just want the guy that's at least going to be playing. This wasn't a great matchup, so he's very much matchup dependent. But if you're desperate for a guy who's at least on the field and going to have some opportunity, Casey Tuhill is your guy. So anybody else on Washington you want to touch on?
Not really. I mean, KJ Henry was a guy we looked at the other week, but not
57% of snaps.
Yeah. Then, bad matchup didn't help either.
Right.
It's getting worse there.
Definitely. On the Dallas side, so I'm hearing rumors that Shaq Leonard might be coming to visit. So don't know if that's to replace Damone Clark or Marquise Bell. So that could be an interesting thing to watch and see what happens. Honestly, I'm not that excited for Shaq Leonard at this point. I think he's pretty much washed. And no matter where he lands, I don't know if they're just going to hand him the keys to 100% of snaps here, for whatever team might sign him. So, I'm not crazy about that. But you can see Damone Clark, 83% with 17 points. And Marquise Bell didn't have a great game, but 77% of snaps for 7 points. So I've got Bell still highlighted just because I love that he's a cheat code in certain platforms, having defensive back or safety eligibility, and he is playing all linebacker snaps. So again, with the game script of this one, you can kind of see, him having a down game. But Donovan Wilson was up to 90% of snaps, one of the actual safeties for the Cowboys. So he is highlighted. Excuse me. He's highlighted as someone to maybe take a shot on, although his production continues to be mediocre at best. But he seems to be the best of the three going forward. Would you agree with that, or do you like Hooker or Curse here?
I think Curse was he out for this game?
Yeah, I think he missed this one. I don't think he's got like a long-term injury, so I'm assuming he'll be back.
It's hard to get excited about any of them because we've seen them all kind of rotate around as the top guy or fade off. And then again, the Cowboys, they're either blowing teams out or getting blown out. So it's like we're always with limited snaps.
Deron Bland is about the only consistent guy from that defense.
Deron Bland, Micah Parsons, maybe Clark. That's about it.
Yeah. You can see at the bottom, DeMarcus Lawrence did not record a single stat in 45% of the stats. I mean, he's washed,
he's going,
which is why I have Sam Williams highlighted. Now, that is more of a dynasty play if he's available in some of your deeper dynasty leagues. But, I mean, if they keep Lawrence around next year, that's just incompetence because Sam Williams is ready to break free. Not a ton of production, but 4 tackles with nothing else, like it's fine. Defensive linemen are rarely consistent, so so I really like Sam Williams for the future here, and DeMarcus Lawrence is absolutely washed. So anything else on this one?
Yeah, it looks good to me. You got it.
Cool. All right, that would take us to the 49ers and the Seahawks. So Jordan Brooks has a massive game with an interception return for a touchdown. Nick Bosa, a 2-sack game. Javon Hargrave, a sack and a half. Tashawn Gibson gets in on the sack game. Arik Armstead had one. So Kevin Givens had half of a sack. So just a lot to go around. On the 49ers,
everybody except Chase Young got a sack.
Yeah, of course, right? The one guy we probably wanted to. Did he even record a stat? Did I miss him?
No, he completely goose egg.
Wow. So, yikes, that's terrible. And the big waiver wire pickup, Jair Brown, you know, lost the production battle to his counterpart, to Sean Gibson, which is why we have both highlighted. Now, this was already a bad fantasy matchup for safeties. Another thing we called out in our written article content during the week. So it was really a toss up. I didn't really expect either of them to do this well, but Gibson, getting home for a sack really kind of saved or boosted his day. I mean, 5 total tackles, 4 solo isn't terrible. But yeah, so it just happened to be Gibson got the sack. Brown didn't get any big splash plays, so it was a very meh performance. But we told you he absolutely needs to be rostered, maybe just not thrown into the starting lineup this particular week. Kind of the same thing for Gibson. I mean, he's playing 100% of snaps. They both should be rostered and more played based on matchups here. So, anyone else on the San Fran side you want to get into, or? I mean,
not really. I mean, we had a bad game for Warner, but that was more matchup stuff. Lenore had a really good game considering the matchup. That was a bit unexpected, I thought, but
yeah, so what I noticed happened with that cornerback, Isaiah Alvers booted to the bench. Lenoir, I thought, was taking over as the slot corner, but considering he played 100% of snaps, that might not have been the case this week. And then Ambry Thomas is the new starter, along with, of course, Trevarius Ward as a boundary corner. So I do have PFF here up really quick. Let me see quickly who was the slot this week. Okay. It was Lenoir. Played mostly the slot and a few boundary corner, which is why he was at 100%. So he's probably the one to own here going forward if you're in a corner required league. But he's definitely playing all the snaps. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I see there's comments here. Let's see. We've got Antonio, not an IDP question, but Jalen Warren is my RB5. And likely a TE. Would you trade both of them for McBride and PPR? No, because Mark Andrews is out for the year, and Jalen Warren, I mean, even when he's splitting the reps, he's still very viable. So I wouldn't make that trade. Would you make that trade?
I assume this is redraft. Redraft, I wouldn't mind do this just because likely he's not playing this week. If I'm really trying to get into the playoffs and I need a tight end right now, I would probably take this trade.
Okay. Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. The bye week I didn't think about. And I see that Jalen Warren is RB5, so I guess he doesn't really need Jalen Warren. So yeah, I might make that trade too. Mr. Simone Biles. Would you play Barnes at DL? He's DL available on Sleeper. Might be great. Yes, that is a great point. So back to the Detroit game. Yeah, if you have Barnes eligible as a defensive lineman where he's going to be playing linebacker duties, that is absolutely kind of a cheat code there for sure. So yes, that is a great call out. And then another non-IDP. Oh, breaking news: Jonathan Taylor having surgery out 2 to 3 weeks on a thumb. That really stinks for a lot of my teams. So, all right. I think that catches us up on comments and appreciate it. I'll try to keep a better eye on that here going forward, guys. On the Seattle game side from the 49ers Seahawks game, I've got Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams highlighted. I do not have Julian Love highlighted despite him having the better game and playing 91% of snaps. It's just because I don't know what the hell they're doing there. So considering Diggs and Adams played 100%, I don't know if this was just a game matchup or if somebody was injured that they played Love, but I just don't trust it to go crazy adding him on waivers. So that's kind of my take on that. The Bobby Wagner versus Jordan Brooks. Jordan Brooks did only play 88% of snaps, but he wins the battle with the big splash play. But Brooks still a very solid game with 8 total tackles and 2 QB hits. So he was going after the quarterback. If he had gotten the sack, that would have been an awesome game. So you got anything on the Seattle side?
Devin Witherspoon.
Devin Witherspoon. Okay.
He's still the guy for me there.
Yeah.
I love this play in college. I've been excited for him all season. If he's out there, he's a fantastic streaming option. We've seen him, come up and get sacks. He plays the run very well. He initiates contact. He doesn't shy away from it. So he's one of my favorite cornerbacks to stream consistently.
Yes, very good point. And how about Boy Mafe with the dud?
I'm going to say this is just a bad matchup.
Yeah,
because he's definitely getting the snaps. Again, it's defensive linemen. They're going to be up and down. You just got to be able to handle those low weeks.
Exactly. We know San Francisco with a healthy offensive line is a pretty terrible matchup for edge rushers normally because Brock Purdy doesn't take that many sacks either. So yeah, this was kind of just a bad one. Okay. All right. I think that does it for that game. So then we go to Dolph. Oh, wait, we have a question. Yeah, what's going on with Mafe? I don't know that I would get off the train necessarily on Boy Mafe, but you just really have to be in tune to the matchups. Like if you're playing, let me bring up so we do our start sit charts as well every week on the website. And let me see if there was a really good indicator this week. Because what I like to look at is not only just the fantasy points given up by position, but that is a big a big driver of our start sit tiers really. But okay, so we also track snaps on offense and defense. Okay. So not only it wasn't a terrible matchup, but it wasn't a great matchup. San Francisco giving up the 18th most fantasy points to defensive ends. So that's like right in the middle of the pack. It's not great. It's not bad, but it's meh. But look, we also track offensive snaps. This was a terrible matchup for offenses to be on the field. San Francisco ranking 27th in snaps, basically averaging on offense, versus Seattle 25th. So this was like that points to a very bad matchup to begin with for guys on the defensive line, I would say. Well, honestly, for most of the IDPs. And we saw Seattle, right, did not particularly have a ton of players outside of Jordan Brooks do super, super well from the IDP points perspective. So, yeah, so there's lots of little things that can point you to those decisions going forward. I would definitely not drop Boy Mafe though. So yeah, if it's Mafe, Barnes over Mafe, I mean the cheat code is nice. I think I would like to know whether Anzalone is out for 100% or not, because if he's not, it's definitely still Mafe for me. So yeah. Do we think Jones plays this week? What Jones could that be?
There's like 100 Joneses out there.
So we were talking. So we were on San Francisco, Seattle. I don't think there's any Joneses there. Miami, the Jets. Brandon Jones? Are we talking Brandon Jones? Let us know, Josh. Which Jones are we talking about? Aaron Jones. Okay, for the Packers. I haven't really dived too deep into the offensive injury stuff yet. I mean, he missed this week altogether. So, and honestly, if he does play, if he's bagged up, I don't know that I want him in my lineup unless I'm totally desperate anyway. So yeah, even if he does play, he's probably going to be questionable all week, probably limited all week. I don't know that I want that in a very pivotal game. I assume for many fantasy managers.
Yeah, so definitely have a backup in mind, or somebody else to throw in for sure. I would not. I would plan on him missing again. That's the safest way to go about it.
Right. Yeah. So there you go, Will. Back to Mafe. Dallas, their IDP points for DL is near the bottom. Very good. You might need to sit on him again. I mean, he went on a 7-game sack streak, and he could go 7 without a sack. It's very possible, depending on his matchups going forward. But we just know that what we've seen, and we know that ceiling exists. So I haven't looked that far into his matchups beyond next week, but it all could depend what's going on there. So all right, on the Miami Jets game, we had another Jets Thanksgiving blunder. We had the Hail Mary returned for a touchdown by Javon Holland. I don't know how you let that happen. DJ Reed had an awesome game. CJ Mosley still doing his thing. So at the top there, kind of the usual suspect. Hey, even Jalen Phillips on his 60% of snaps had a really nice game. Why did he play 60%? Because he tore his Achilles, and we could all see it very clearly on the camera. That was a brutal blow, not only to just the Dolphins, but to IDP fantasy managers alike. So that's a very big loss for the week that it's just a shame. It's just a damn shame that stupid field. The Jets and Giants can go screw themselves with that field. Listen, I'm an Eagles fan. We got rid of the vet 25 years ago because the field was awful. Why are new stadiums having terrible fields like this? It's also ridiculous. So, any major stuff that stood out to you from that game outside of the Phillips injury?
Not well. All right. Just in general, or just from the Dolphin side?
Yeah, just in general.
Quincy Williams, he's not doing a lot right now, but
a bit of a slump, yeah.
Nursing that knee injury. So we may see him, drop in production. That may be why CJ Mosley's production was so high this week, where he was picking up the slack that Williams would have normally, gotten. Yeah, Andrew Van Ginkel is a thing again. So definitely go get him.
Yeah. So if we want to talk, there's a lot of guys in red here that we are suggesting to go get. A lot of them due to the Jalen Phillips injury. So Phillips has been a very versatile player this year, not only getting to the quarterback, but playing a lot of traditional like linebacker, soaking up a ton of tackles as well in the run game, in the short to intermediate passing game. So that is why we have the traditional linebackers from the Dolphins, both of them in Jerome Baker and David Long, as potential guys to go get, because they might see increased playing time and production with Phillips being lost. So that's why they're highlighted. Emmanuel Ogbah, who has defensive tackle eligibility on MFL, is more kind of plays all around that defensive line, but he could benefit from this. And he had a really nice game in just his 24% of snaps, getting home with 1.5 sacks this week. So Zach Sealer, not necessarily directly related to Jalen Phillips, but he's just been playing well, and he's been giving us good production over the past couple of weeks. So this one, 55% of snaps, but he got home for a sack again. He normally plays more than that. I assume this was probably game script related because they were just kicking the shit out of them. So
you can see no Dolphins had 100% of the snaps there, so they rested their guys at the end. Bradley Chubb, he's going to get a big boost.
Yeah, so Chubb, and he might be out there still in some shallower leagues. So if you were a Phillips manager in a shallower league, I wouldn't mind maybe just trying to 1-for-1 him with Bradley Chubb, despite him doing really nothing in this game. So, and then of course Van Ginkel, who the hell knows what he's actually going to do? I mean, he's playing traditional linebacker, edge rusher, defensive line, which is great that he's versatile like that. We're just going to need to make sure he sees an elevated snap count, because I was surprised that with Phillips going down, he only saw 50% in this one and didn't really do anything on top of it. So but definitely someone that needs to be picked up for sure. And then on the Jets side, we don't have Brandon Echols highlighted, 51% of the snaps, just 2 total tackles. So don't go chasing, the big plays. And he returned it for a touchdown, I believe. So obviously don't go chasing that. DJ Reed would be someone you do want playing 100% of the snaps. So, and he gets picked on because Gardner is the shutdown guy. So Reed is the corner that you want here for sure. I probably should have highlighted him, but whatever. Bryce Huff he's been doing really great with pressures, He's not always getting home and, playing this, 50% snap range. But hey, if you're desperate here upcoming and they have good matchups, then he's someone you might want to add to your roster here. And then Tony Adams came back to 100% of snaps. So after that kind of gnarly finger injury, that he's back, and he normally plays really well. And safeties were normally a great matchup going against the Dolphins, but I guess Whitehead did okay. 6 total tackles with nothing else, but both Whitehead and Adams are pretty solid players here. So cutting bait with Quincy. I mean, depending on the swap, I wouldn't blame you. With the injury and everything, he might be, he might just not be able to give his full potential that he was giving us with all that production earlier in the year. So the Achilles was a gnarly injury. Oh man, this is okay. So this is an interesting one. Quincy Williams or Elandon Roberts. I'm going to say Roberts. Honestly, they're both playing about the same amount of snaps, and I think Roberts has the higher ceiling at this point. So what do you got on that one?
Yeah, with not knowing how long Quincy's going to be hobbled by his knee, Roberts would be the safer pick right now for sure.
Yeah, totally. And Miami with a very juicy matchup against the Commanders this week. So fire up your Bradley Chubbs, fire up your
Van
Steelers, fire up your Van Ginkles. Like it could be an interesting one. So, all right, that'll take us to the Saints and the Falcons next. Jesse Bates, the monster game with the pick 6, 12 total tackles, 7 of them solo, a forced fumble, just all over the place. And so we saw that Richie Grant may be losing or lost his job to DeMarco Helms. So we see Helms played 53% and Richie Grant 75. Okay, so I thought the snap count went down further than that. I don't think that was injury related, right?
No,
I think I saw something. Yeah.
Yeah, he it looked like Helms was getting more playing time here, and he came in and was physical right away. I think we might start seeing a switch here, or we may see more of a split where both these guys may be useless, without one really taking over. That's probably what's going to happen. But
so maybe not losing his job.
Not all the way. You're not all at once.
So it's not a Nick Scott Jordan Battle situation, right? This is more of a Seahawks situation, a 3-headed monster where Bates is like your Quandre Diggs. He ain't leaving the field. And we've seen him go up and down a lot this year. And then the other two are your Jamal Adams and Julian Love, kind of between Helms and Richie Grant. So very annoying.
Well, the other thing there was Nate Landman only played 74%. So I'm wondering if Helms took from both Grant and Landman. If he's kind of jumping down there or not.
Yeah, what the heck happened to Landman? Everyone's favorite waiver wire pickup. Nate Landman with the sudden decrease, and they were just on bye last week, right? So it shouldn't have been injury related. So that's interesting.
So I don't know if they just went more 3 safety sets in this, and that's where Helms came in, or if he's maybe playing up closer. I don't know. It's something I'm very curious about. I'm keeping an eye on this going forward.
Yeah, this could suck. Because Caden Ellis played 100% of the snaps. This could suck for all the Landman people. We've got on the highlighted as pickups Jeff Okudah again in corner required leagues. He's been killing it. DeMarco Helms, of course, if he's going to be eating in, he might need to be rostered in some deeper start 4 corner or 4 DB leagues. And then I have David Onyemata and Calais Campbell highlighted because, coming off the bye, maybe people forgot about them, but they both played 64% of snaps here. Not like monster games, but that's pretty good snaps for a rotation of defensive tackles. And they're both talented. They both go after the quarterback. So I think they both could be viable, pretty much strictly in your defensive tackle required leagues there. We saw Pete Werner out duel Demario Davis for the first time in feels like months, to the tune of 8 total tackles, 7 of them solo. But you get one guess. Did Pete Werner have any big splash plays? Yes or no?
It's always a no.
It's always a no. Yep. So just his tackles is all you got. Now, same for Demario Davis, but we know that he at least sometimes give us splash plays. So yeah, other than that, I don't see anything. Cameron Jordan continues to just be the worst. He might be washed too, and it sucks.
He's washed.
I liked him.
He's watched. He's been one of my favorites for a long time. He also got a little nicked up in this one. And we seen JPP there come in for a minute to finally get his first action of the season.
Yeah.
Don't go chasing that big 2 tackles.
Yeah. On 27% of snaps. No thanks. But yeah, Cameron Jordan, it's the Carl Granderson show, which is really awesome for Dynasty. And I got to tell you, not just like making this up. We've been on Carl Granderson in Dynasty for a couple of years now as like a deeper stash. He's had some flashes in years past. I mean, I was tweeting, I looked up, I was tweeting about him in like 2021 as a guy that I like. So like, we try to guide you here to these guys to look forward to. So yeah. So anything else on this game? I don't see anything crazy.
No.
Oh, on the New Orleans side, just Marcus May is the only highlight. I just feel like people might have forgotten. He's been like in and out of the lineup all year due to various either injuries, suspensions, and whatnot. But he's back up to 100% snap. So if you need a 4th defensive back, then he could be worth an addition. So. All right, that brings us to the Steelers and the Bengals, and TJ Watt with a nice monster game. Mike Hilton, the slot corner, doing very well lately. It's tough to trust him a little bit, but if you want to ride the hot wave, especially surprising against Pittsburgh too. But hey, no more Matt Canada, and we see the offense humming a little bit at least as much as it can hum under Kenny Pickett.
Still limited, but at a louder hum.
Yeah. So we see the slot corner and the boundary corner, rookie DJ Turner, have really nice games. So hey, I highlighted Turner just because he played 100% of the snaps. Although the slot corner role is usually opens itself up to more opportunities, but Trenton Thompson is a safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's 2 weeks in a row that he's had to play now. I thought Minko would be coming back this week, but he did not. They're saying it's obviously he's looking stronger and more viable to make a return this week. So that's why Trent Thompson's not highlighted yet. He could be, if you're listening to this, maybe he has a handcuff to Minka Fitzpatrick, in case he doesn't go again. But for everyone else, I'm still not really wasting my energy on Trenton Thompson. Now, if they shut Minka down, if they decide to do that, he's absolutely someone that I'm interested in. But I just don't want to play this waste my roster spot and my time on him if he's not going to play this coming week. So we've got Cameron Hayward highlighted as a pickup, defensive tackle. A lot of people may have just forgot about him. He got banged up again last week, but he returned to 81% of snaps this week and a pretty solid game, 13 points, 3 solos, got home for a sack. So that's the kind of stuff we've come to see out of Hayward here. Elandon Roberts right there, still playing 100%. Like we just advised Will, I'd probably want him over Quincy Williams going forward. Roberts has his spot locked down for the rest of the year. And, Quincy might miss games depending on this injury. So it sounds like he's fighting through it, playing through it. Quincy Williams is, but if you're giving me in a vacuum, Williams versus Roberts, give me Roberts all day long for the rest of the year. Jordan Battle, 83% of the snaps with a solid game, 8 total tackles, just 3 of them solo. But hey, if you're going to give me 8 tackles that can shift that ratio a little bit, that's a really solid floor for a safety playing 83% of the snap. So definitely should be rostered. Demonte Casey should definitely be rostered because he's locked in. Even when Fitzpatrick comes back, Casey should be locked in next to him. So he's got pretty much 100% snap roll there. But yes, as kind of the free safety, but it's whatever. Michael Walker for the Steelers does have to seem to have the linebacker 2 role locked in. So if you're desperate for an LB2 who gets 80-ish% of snaps, then you can take a shot on Walker. And I have Joey Porter highlighted. He's been playing the 100% of the snaps for the past few weeks. And I think he's just the type of corner that is going to get picked on and have a lot of opportunity for fantasy points. So only 2 tackles in this one solo, but also had a pass defendant. I mean, we know Cincinnati's passing attack was going to be, dumbed down because of all the injuries and whatnot. So probably not the best matchup, but yeah, if I'm in a corner required league going forward, I think he's absolutely someone I'm interested in. So turn it over to you for anyone you want to talk about.
Yeah, Michael Walker. He's ramping up. He's getting a little more playing time. If you can afford it in deep leagues and have an open spot, he might be someone to throw in. Just based on he is going to get the playing time. He's not going to overtake Roberts, but yeah, especially with all the bye weeks right now, if you do need that help, he'd be a good one to pick up. That's definitely going overlooked.
Right. All right. Oh, I have to rant about Myles Murphy really quick. Of course, when Sam Hubbard returns, and Trey Hendrickson's playing, now he decides to get a sack, playing third or fourth fiddle. Like that just annoys me so much. Jerk. These guys. He had his opportunity last week or 2 weeks ago. The past 2 weeks that Hubbard's been out, does nothing. And now when Hubbard comes back, he decides to go for 3 tackles, a TFL, a sack, and a QB hit. Like, come on, man. Like, I just can't stand guys like that. All right. Yeah, Nick Scott, 20%. He's droppable pretty much everywhere. Anybody else like? Oh, another man, Alex Highsmith. Yeah. He has been on a lull. He is in a down swing right now. He's killing you if you're rolling him out there the past few weeks. So I'm cutting bait in shallow leagues until he decides to turn it back on. I mean, we saw Nick Herbig get a sack on 7% of the snaps. Like Alex Highsmith, you played 93% and got 1 assisted tackle. What against a bad quarterback too? Like, what is going on here? So that's another frustrating one, big time. All right, ranting over for that one. So next game is the Jaguars and Texans, and hey, we can go right back into rant mode with these freaking linebackers. I finally decided to believe in Blake Cashman, who I've not been a fan of. Let me say that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy in. He's crushing it. And he did play what? He did play 97% of snaps. But when good old Steve decides to buy in, we get 10 points, 6 tackles, 4 solo, nothing else. After he was getting sacks, stealing them from Will Anderson. This week, it was Christian Harris who decided to have the big game with 12 tackles, 7 solo, TFL, and a QB hit. Like, I'm just tired of playing whack-a-mole with these guys. And Tuo came back. He played 33% of snaps, so he's obviously still third fiddle. But, like, I'm just sick and tired of playing whack-a-mole with these guys. I don't know about you.
Well, Perryman comes back this week, so it's about to get even better. Good luck figuring out who's going to start with. I assume it's going to be Perryman, and just for fun, I'm going to say Harris.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it here. So yeah, that nice to see Josh Allen 2.5 sacks, but who was starting him because he had been coming off some slumpages here. I mean, he's He's getting the snaps, but he's been tough to trust as of late. Derek Stingley continues to be hot. 2 out of 3 games after his return. Basically 2 games since he's fully ramped up. He's had monster games. So honestly, even if you don't have to start corners, if you're just starting 3 to 4 DBs, I would want him at least on my team and try to kind of play the matchups there. Devin Lloyd playing really well. Petrie gave us a decent enough game. With the TFL helped him out a little bit there, but 9 total tackles. We'll take that rebound. Like I said, Cashman, just no big splash plays. Will Anderson kind of back down in the dumps here. 4 total tackles, 2 solo, and a TFL. Like, it's a decent enough floor for we'll call him defensive lineman. I'll take that as my floor, but would really like to see him start to put together some sacks in a row here, or at least some kind of splash plays, like forcing fumble recovery. Like, I'm still a believer in the talent, and I've still got him in my dynasty rankings as a tier 1 guy, with the Watts of the world, the Parsons of the world. I still believe in that talent. He's just not popping off this rookie year, but in dynasty, I'm still all in. So I'm not trying to look, not let, what's happening in these past few games sway my dynasty decisions. But so I'm still very much a believer in this one. And Jonathan Greenard, it's not like he was stealing the production, at least not this week. Only 4 points from Greenard this week. So I can't really rant about him either, because I'm not a big fan of his either. So who else do you want to bounce off me?
Man, Travon Walker has been a disappointment. I was really expecting, him and Allen to both pop off this year, and he's just, he gets the pressures, he gets back there, but he can't finish.
Yeah. And so as much as I know some guys that like to talk IDP are big on pressures, right? But if you're not playing in a pressures league, sometimes getting to the quarterback is a skill, as much as we don't like to believe it and don't like to believe that sacks are sticky. And some guys you can easily tell when their sacks are sticky, but just because the guy's getting a ton of pressures and not getting home doesn't mean that they are going to see the sacks come to them ever. Look at a guy like Carl Lawson. He was the pressure master for years, and it just never came. Trayvon Walker kind of feels like he's trending in that direction. He could be so close every single year, but it's never going to come. The only thing that's keeping the light on for me in the attic is that Josh Allen is likely gone next year. He's playing for a contract this year. I don't know that he's loved being in Jacksonville. Maybe this regime will save that relationship, but there's a chance that he moves on to a new team this next year. So that would give Trayvon Walker that job basically all to himself, and maybe that responsibility and role he'll step up as he continues to develop. Remember, this is year 2 for a guy that was labeled as a totally raw guy. And, if the peripheral metrics are there for him, that's a really good sign. So, yes, his production this year is very, very disappointing. But in Dynasty, I'm still hovering. I've still got him probably in the low end of tier 2, the high end of tier 3 of edge rushers. And depending on what happens with Josh Allen this offseason, could see him move up or at the very least stay the same. But if Josh Allen's gone, I think I'm picking him up at least into tier 2, because those peripherals are still looking good. So, all right, move on.
Yeah.
All right. The Buccaneers and the Colts. This was a very top-heavy scoring game. Samson Ebukam popped in this one with 2 sacks. We're obviously not going to chase that. He was a great best ball target all year for weeks like this, but he's only going to give you 3, maybe 4 weeks of this kind of production. So definitely not chasing that in redraft or a league where you have to start.
I am going to chase it because he has the Titans. He has the Titans next week. So
yeah.
I'm going to chase it for one more week.
Okay.
But he is streaky. Yeah, playing against the Titans next week. Yeah, probably all these edge rushers I'm going to stream.
Yeah. All right. So the pickup guys, I think I missed Zion McCollum if you're in a corner required league. Kalijah Cansey after he's getting the snaps. He had a couple dud weeks, but here he is back. Got home for a sack this week. Servatier Dennis as the Levante David replacement had a fine enough week, 6 total tackles, 5 of them solo, and a pass defended. Not what Levante David's been doing all year, but hey, it's a decent enough fill-in. He beat out Devin White, which is really annoying. But Devin White, similar to Quincy Williams, fighting through an injury. He still played 100% of the snaps, but it just feels like it just feels like he is he's having a rough go of it this year. Also someone who might be on a new team next year. So I'm probably not going to drop him too far in Dynasty. He'll probably definitely be more towards the top of my tier 2 Dynasty rankings. But this year feels like it's just kind of bad. EJ Speed, someone you need to pick up. We've definitely touched on that since last week, but had an okay game here, 95% of the snaps, 6 total tackles, 5 of them solo, nothing else to go with it. We could see that change very easily. Zaire had a kind of a dud, as much as 10 points or 7 tackles is a dud, but just 3 solo and nothing else to go with it. So the Bucks usually take care of the ball pretty well. So outside of interception, which they had 1 and a fumble recovery was on the, so they gave away twice. Not horrible. So yeah, Bucks are a tough IDP matchup. So who else do you got in this one?
I mean, Blackman did better than I thought he would with this matchup. Mm-hmm. I wasn't expecting a lot out of him. So it was nice to see him not be as matchup dependent as he has in the past.
Right.
To where he's maybe holding some steady floors, some steady ground there.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a big plus. Man, poor Ryan Neal is done. He should be on your team.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not getting the playing time.
Yeah.
Zion McCollum.
Yeah.
If he can get another start with Jamel Dean out, I like that pickup.
Excuse me. Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Neal is droppable in all formats. So just an FYI. I do have Yaya Diaby down here, only 1 point, but 66% of snaps. So this is a funny kind of juxtaposition. Last week, we said don't go chasing him because he had monster production on like 30 some odd percent of snaps. This week, I am saying grab him because if he's earned this playing time because of last week, I do want him on my team. Now, yes, this basement floor exists, but we also saw what his ceiling is from last week. So if he's earned himself more playing time going forward, I do want him on my team. And he could be a free pickup that people drop because they picked him up last week, didn't do anything this week. They're going to drop him, and then you can grab him for free later on in the week. So that's probably what I would do here on this one. So yeah, Kenny Moore, kind of a dud, and that's how corners go. Don't really see a whole lot else that needs to be touched on in this one. Some of your guys with offensive questions, I will get to you. I'm going to do it when we hit those teams here for the defensive review. So I'll touch on your guys' offensive stuff there. So now we're going to flip over to the Patriots and the Giants. Bobby Okereke just continues to be a stud. I was a little worried. He had a nagging injury. Didn't play all his snaps like last week and I think 2 weeks ago as well, but back up to 100%. Hope he's healthy. He gets a pick in this one. Defends 2 passes, 7 solos, 1 assist, 8 total. Awesome game from my guy Bobby. Me and Big Matt were on him early in the year. Just very happy to see that one coming true, at least. I'm sure we've had a billion more misses, but the hits feel real good.
We don't count those.
No, there's an account for that. But they don't pay attention to IDP, so we're good. Xavier McKinney stringing together some good games. I was kind of off of him in my start sitch suggestions. Like he's still kind of streaky for me, but hey, at this point he's putting it together. Now the interception helps, obviously. If you take that away, 4 solos, 6 assists is not quite as nice, although it's a great floor. But yeah, I guess I'm back in, which is probably the kiss of death for next week. But this is also a good matchup.
They're on a bye next week, so we're good. We're good.
Oh, well, there you go. That makes it easy. Yeah, can't be wrong. Let's see. On the Patriots end, there wasn't a lot of big stuff. Oh, Anthony Jennings finally gets some sacks. He gets 1.5 sacks in this one. So that's why you see him highlighted as a pickup. I've been, on him as opposed to my guy, Josh Uche. Just crazy. I don't know how he did so well last year and then is just doing nothing this year. So 0 points, 35% of snaps. It's the Anthony Jennings show taking over for Matt Judon. So yeah, we've said that he's been a weekly guy that we touch on. Like it's coming. And weird, against the Giants, it came. So if you were stashing him this whole time and didn't play him this week against the Giants, I don't know what you're doing. So
you're right.
Jabril Peppers has cornerback eligibility in certain leagues, so he just played 100% of snaps, so could be viable for you there. And the defensive tackle for the Patriots, Devon Godchow, 71% of snaps, not like amazing production, and he'll never have generally amazing production, but he's a run stopper. So if you're playing a run heavy team, he could be pretty solid there. From a tackle floor perspective. So and then the Giants, I only have Jihad Ward highlighted. I really like that he's got defensive tackle eligibility on MFL. So if you're desperate for a guy there, he just played 59% of snaps and has been hovering in that like 60 to high mid 60s, which is pretty decent. But he's kind of one of these guys who plays all over the defensive line too. So yeah, those are the suggested guys to pick up. Jawad Bentley returned from injury with like a meh game. He did get a sack, but I would have expected more tackles. Mike McFadden also kind of a meh game and just 66% of sacks, but Isaiah Simmons didn't exactly steal much production from him. So yeah, Azeez Ojulari, a guy that has been super disappointing for me this year. I was really high on him. He's been fighting injuries, probably still got a nagging injury, just wants to play, but only 56% of snaps with 2 points on a assist and QB hit. So, hey, he hit the QB. It would have been nice to get a sack there, but I don't know. What are you doing with Ojulari in Dynasty, man?
Right. He doesn't have enough value to trade him. So you pretty much have to hold on to him and hope that maybe he picks it up by the end of the year when he, does finally get healthy enough, or, maybe he picks it up again next year. But with his size, was always going to be a question. I don't think you can do much unless you just want to get rid of him. You can drop him or toss him in a trade. But like I say, his value is low right now.
Yeah, if you're a current manager of his, you kind of just have to hold the bag and hope for better days. If you're someone who likes wheeling and dealing and can afford the bench stash, just like you said, he would be a great throw-in on a bigger deal trade for you there. So yeah, but yeah, sucks right now. Anyone else?
Miles Bryant, he's one of my favorite streamers. He gets some good matchups, and he's been pretty consistent, even with only 79% snaps there. They get the Chargers next week, so I would throw him in for sure on that one. Boy, Kyle Duggar just disappeared in this one, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean the game was 10-7, like yeah. It was like Iowa, Nebraska, like punt, turnover, like no thanks. So yeah, this one was rough, but Kyle Duggar, he could be moving on next year as well. So that could be interesting. see if he's a system guy or if he really does have the chops or not. He might be a trade away candidate for me in Dynasty League. So,
I've been
all
against him
right,
for a long time, so that wouldn't hurt my feelings.
there you go. All right, for the Panthers Titans, we're going to start off with an offensive question. The Adam Thielen train over. I mean, it might not be over, but it's certainly stalled.
Yeah, for sure.
It seems like Jonathan Mingo is getting more opportunity, and especially with the coaching, shakeups right now, it feels like they're probably going to see what they have with some of these rookies and younger guys. Not that Adam Thielen won't play, but they're I don't know. That one's really tough because it's hard to accept that from what we saw at the start of the season from him is just gone.
Yeah.
But we've seen these splits from him before, even with the Vikings, when he was an integral part in the offense, where first half is great, second half is not great, or first half is not great and second half is awesome. So it kind of feels like we're almost at the end of the rail line here.
Yeah, the sale window was a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's if you can get something out of him, you can hope for some big games. But it's like you said, you're moving on to the younger talent, see what you got. This season is definitely over. So they may start working the young guys in and kind of shoving him out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And Bryce, we'll hit your other question when we get to the Browns end there, okay? And William, hey, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate the support on the live first ever live podcast of IDP Plus show. Woohoo!
Fireworks.
So on the yeah, pew, pew, pew.
Yeah.
On the defensive side, the studs are up there. Amani Hooker's highlighted. This was a good matchup for him, and with the Kevin Byard out of town, and there's still, I guess, there's sort of a safety too that's been determined in Kevon Wallace, who's also highlighted. He played 84% of the snaps in this one and had a great tackle game. 9 total, 8 solo. So, but who knows? It feels like they just are rotating a different guy every week into that role. So maybe we can trust him now. Well, yeah, go ahead.
I think so. They started working him in last week. He got the start and was doing really well last week. Yeah, I think he had 6 tackles real quick. The concussion is what cut his snap short last week. The fact that he played this week was a bit surprising to me because I figured he'd miss. But yeah, I'm back on the Wallace train for sure.
Cool. But yeah, Hooker's your 100% guy. So he's someone I definitely want here going forward. Harold Landry, I have highlighted because as a pickup, because the stats are still there. He's in the high 70s to mid 80s. Just didn't get home this week, but I think he had been on a bit of a hot streak there. So I'm riding with him. I think his health has been ramping up all season long. I think we finally saw it hit his full health stride a couple of weeks ago. So he's someone I'm still very much a believer in here going forward. And may be available because of his, kind of cruddy start to the beginning of the year. So if he's still out there, I would want to grab him. On the Carolina side, more injuries again. We had Von Bell leave the game. Status, with a shoulder injury, very much in question. So it's Alex Cook. Although when you replace him in this game, he comes away with hardly anything here, just 1 solo tackle. But again, if you're desperate in these super deep, like even contract leagues, like 53-man rosters, then we have to call out Alex Cook as a potential ad. Hopefully Xavier Woods benefits from that more than anyone. But and from the linebackers, big Frankie Luvu gets outdone in this one. Where did he finish here? Only 3 points on 100% of snaps. He's outdone by both Deion Jones and Kamu Grugier-Hill. So this is one where if you're just chasing the points, they don't tell the whole story. You definitely want Frankie Luvu going forward, right? But it just happened to fall the stats to and of course we see Kamu Grugier-Hill be the linebacker too this week at 55% of the snaps versus Deion Jones at just 21%. That was basically flip-flopped last week. So it's another whack-a-mole situation there, much like Houston, where it's just annoying. But at least Houston has a lot more upside because neither of them had really good games from a fantasy perspective in this one either. So, yeah, you got anything on that situation or anyone you want to?
Man, yeah, these Carolina safeties again. We've seen Sam Franklin come in. It was Matthias Fairley or whatever a while back. Yeah, who knows what's going to happen there? Woods would be the only one I would trust for sure. And then Elijah Molden for Tennessee. He was playing, some safety and some slot there, but
that's what I thought.
With Murphy Bunting coming back, I think is what cut him short this week.
Okay.
So if you like me and you've been riding that safety or corner eligibility there, it's probably time to cut bait with him.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. Good note there. Aziz Al-Shaair down to 86%. Do we know why he's not playing 100? Is it just because I know he picked up an injury?
Well, look at all the defensive backs they're putting out.
Right.
They're putting out a lot. So I think they're just a bit desperate and just rotating guys around. We're seeing Monty Rice and Jack Gibbons rotate quite a bit here too.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's coming in with Aziz as well, or if it is just a bit of an injury. I think they're just trying everything they can right now. And it's like I say, that secondary, they got so many guys playing right now. I still trust Aziz. I don't trust him a lot.
Gotcha. Yeah, it sucks. He seems to be kind of trending down right now. So definitely not.
Might be a good buy.
Good time to buy him. Right. Very, very true. If he can get himself fully healthy. I think that's what's going on. He picked up that injury too. So they're probably purposefully rotating him out to not play 100% so that hopefully he doesn't get hurt any worse. But sounds like another guy who's probably playing through a nagging injury here. But yeah, no real clarity on the linebacker too. I mean, Gibbons won the snap count, 47%. Monty Rice is 31, but they were only 1 point apart in fantasy. So I think both are not someone you're putting in your starting lineup anytime soon. Maybe stashes on a deep bench.
Yeah, deep leagues. Yeah, maybe on the bench, but they're kind of negating each other. You got to be truly desperate here. Another thing, Weaver has been gaining a little more playing time. He was the guy we wrote would be, the main guy this year. Then Arden Key came in and has done next to nothing.
Right.
So I don't, like I say, they're starting to rotate everybody around. You trust your studs on Tennessee. That's the best I can tell you. The guys that have been studs, keep playing them, and maybe shy away from these other rotations going on.
Gotcha. I'll say for Brian Burns, I was getting ready to boot him out in our Discord. He was a hot name this week for people asking about what the hell to do. And we analyzed the matchup. So we said, give him one more week here. If he can't do it in this not good of a matchup, then it is time to move on. Luckily, he kept us hanging on here. 16 points, gets the sack, 2 QB hits, 2 TFLs, 4 total tackles, 2 of them solo. So a good enough line to keep him, on your team. I think from a starting him perspective going forward, he's 100% matchup based. So you're going to want to follow along to our start sit suggestions here going forward, and the matchup analysis. So that's all I'll say to finish off that game. All right. Then we've got the Rams and the Cardinals in this one. A lot of pickups I got in this one. So let me start with those. So we've got Jalen Thompson, the safety for the Cardinals, back to 100%. He's healthy again. And he is the guy who's in a much better position from an alignment standpoint to score you IDP fantasy points than Budda Baker. So I want Jalen Thompson over Budda Baker in redraft leagues, for the rest of the season. So that's a very clear stance for me on those two. Behind them, the Cardinals, seem to be rotating their corners again and just picking out of a hat who's going to play because Marco Wilson did not play a defensive snap this week, as you can see at the bottom there, after he'd been 100% snap player for pretty much the whole season. They returned to the rookie Kytrell Clark to play 88% of the snaps. And the rookie Garrett Williams at 90%. So that left Antonio Hamilton in the dust as well. I don't know if he was maybe injured or not. I don't know that I see.
I think he may have picked one up during the game.
Okay. So that makes a little more sense. But yeah. So then on the Rams side, we've got Kobe Turner and Michael Hecht on the defensive line, two guys that are rolling right now. So that's great. John Johnson has earned his way back into the starting lineup for the Rams at safety. Josh Woods is your new linebacker one for the Cardinals, played 100% of the snaps. Not great production, but good enough for a fill-in. BJ Ojulari, the edge rusher on the Cardinals, definitely someone that needs to be picked up. And then every week I'm gonna have Byron Young. Byron Young and Josh Metellus are my every week guys. I'm super high on them, both for I guess redraft, but definitely in dynasty here going forward as well. Byron Young kind of slumping a little bit. It's been Hecht more weeks than Young recently, but I still believe in both of them, and I very much believe in Young more so than Hecht from a dynasty standpoint going forward. So that's my primary takes on this one.
The John Johnson, picking up steam has been a very interesting thing for me. Because them safeties outside of Jordan Fuller haven't done a whole lot. 1 week it's Quentin Legg, the next is Russ East. So I'm hoping John Johnson is the stability we need back there, especially with Ernest Jones being a little banged up still.
Yeah, 63% of snaps. Not great.
That game was over early, so I think a big part of that was the game.
That's right.
Yeah, so I don't think he played that last quarter at all. But he is banged up. So John Johnson coming in may start stealing some more of those tackles until he is better. Yeah. Same thing with Jalen Thompson, with Kazir White being gone. He's benefiting, I think, just as much as anybody from those tackles, playing up closer to the line, almost more so than Josh Woods.
Yeah, absolutely. Other takeaways: Zaven Collins stinks, and Aaron Donald might be reaching wash status too.
I'm seeing that. We're seeing, Kobe Turner. He's getting the playing time, he hasn't fully taken the playing time away, but he's getting a lot more, and he's on a hot streak.
It's a full-on rotation. It looks like so, but yeah, Donald. He's gonna pop every now and then. But for dynasty, I'm 100% adjusting to have Kobe Turner above Aaron Donald, 1,000,000,000%. So
yeah, his days are numbered.
Anything else on this one?
Yeah, I think that just about does it.
All right, we're gonna start the Cleveland. Denver with Bryce's question about Amari Cooper. He's asking, do Jaden Reed or Brandon Cooks have a higher value than Amari Cooper? We're going to answer this from a dynasty standpoint. I would say absolutely not to Brandon Cooks and maybe to Jaden Reed. I'm a little nervous with the quarterback situation. We probably have a couple more years out of Amari Cooper. I've never been a huge Amari Cooper guy just because he's so inconsistent and you can never pick the right week when to start him. So that's why I'm a sucker for the young guys. So I'd probably say yes to Reed over Cooper in dynasty. Now in redraft, I would say, God, they're all so close this year.
Yeah, redraft, I would still say Reed's right there with them.
Yeah, I would still probably go Reed, Cooper, Cooks. The quarterback situation stinks for the rest of the year in Cleveland, so you could go with Cooks. Literally, if they were in a tier, they would be back to back. And Jay Reed might maybe a couple slots higher, but they're all within 5 players of each other in redraft for the rest of the year? Like, that's a really, really hard question. Because Cooper is going to be on the field the most out of all of them. But I really like what they've been doing with Reed in the running game. I mean, we've seen him score, I think, twice, being used as a rusher, like on the sweeps and stuff. And I like that kind of involvement, especially if they're going to also involve him in the passing game. So, yeah, I'm just a sucker for the rookies coming on late in the year. So I think I have Reed over both of them in any format.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you. Cooks, I'm out.
Yeah.
Way out on him. And Cooper, he's an old guy now. His days are numbered. So yeah, definitely Reed's the guy going forward. He's got them. Well, I'm not going to say the better quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Tough
Reed.
one there.
Yeah, right.
All right. So hitting the defense, a lot of red in this one. I'll go through the Cleveland guys first. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the linebacker, finally stringing together some consistent production, which he has pretty much never done in his career so far. I don't think he's had 2 good back-to-back weeks since these past 2 weeks. So nice to see that. You can make me somewhat of a believer at the moment. I've never been a big fan of his, but he had a ton of tackles, lots of splash plays in this one. So nice to see that. Continuing with Cleveland, the safety Juan Thornhill, he's 100% snap player. Kind of going under the radar to Grant Delpit, but he's been producing pretty much just the same for the past few weeks. So if you're desperate for a safety there, guy I do like as a traditional like linebacker, Sione Takitaki, 81%. So kind of a clear LB2 there. If you start 3 to 4 linebackers, he could help you. My guy, Double O, Agbania Okoronkwo. We have Myles Garrett get busted up. Apparently, he's not going to miss time, but a banged up Myles Garrett still might lead to more opportunities for Agent 00, who beat out Zadarius Smith in snaps this week, 55% to 46%. So I've always been, he was kind of a preseason. My guy was Agent 00. And even though Zadarius Smith got there, everyone kind of sent him to the, behind the shed once Zadarius Smith got there, but not me. I said, this is going to be a rotation. And they've each had duds and they've each had really nice games. But I think for the rest of the season, this could be good for 00 going forward. So how about anybody on the Cleveland side between those I named or anyone else you want to touch on?
Yeah, I'm definitely with you with Okoronkwo.
Yeah.
Taking over, especially this late season. Darius Smith did so bad this year. One of the biggest plus I had on my teams. McMillan, he's a fantastic stream for me. I've been using him a lot here lately. Who else? PJ Locke is another one I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Just
Kareem Jackson out.
Mm-hmm. I want to say there was somebody I was going to cut bait with. Oh, Taki. I like his production. I like it when he's in the game. I'm worried about Walker coming back. Is he going to, go back to the bench or? So I would be a little, scared of that situation. But if you got the room, deep enough league, go for it.
I feel like he's probably played his way into the earning the spot here going forward.
I would hope so.
But that's definitely a concern. They could just hand it right back to Walker. So definitely a concern for sure. So yeah, on the Denver end, we have highlighted safety PJ Locke, again playing for the suspended Kareem Jackson, Nick Bonito, the edge rusher, Jonathan Cooper, the edge rusher, and Baron Browning. So I have all 3 of them highlighted because it's basically an even split for the most part. Now it's funny, in this one, Bonito actually had the least snaps of them all, but came away with the most production. And that's how it's going to go every week. I'm not the biggest fan of Baron freaking Browning, so I prefer Bonito and Cooper, both the Browning. But hey, Browning's going to have his games. Just God bless you if you can pick when it's going to happen.
Right. Josie Jewell, if you've got a better option,
Ooh,
the only thing that saved him this week was a sack force fumble.
yep,
I mean,
yep.
he has been trending down all season, and I'm not
Losing
really sure
snaps like
why.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
I'm
Yeah, that's a
cutting
great
bait.
question. Now
I've been
that's the one.
cutting him.
Yep. No, fair enough. Because yeah, Singleton has not relinquished his 100% of snaps role, so you can't ignore that. And he's still giving us production.
Mhm.
Even without any sack or anything. He did defend the pass and recover a fumble this week, so that certainly boosted him. But yeah, I agree. It sucks. Don't hang on to the name for Josie Jewell. And it's not like he's necessarily losing it to Drew Sanders, who I saw popped up on here.
Yeah, he's back down.
Yeah, 29%, but maybe he is losing it a little bit to Drew Sanders because I think that's the most snaps he's played in a few weeks here. So, all right, you got anything else?
I believe that's it.
Okay, that'll take us to Chiefs Raiders. I love Max Crosby. I kind of wish he would have sat this one out. Thank God he saved his day with the sack because other than that, it was a brutal, brutal day.
Yeah.
But Crosby gets home for a sack. Just a warrior, man. But yeah, I kind of wish he would have taken the week off. But he might take this week off because he wanted to play against the Chiefs.
Is it their bye week? Or they've already had theirs?
I don't. I think they've already had theirs. Yeah, but I just meant from being, from an injury standpoint, like
Yeah.
he should be out this week because I think they were saying he's the first guy in like over a decade or something to play with a doubtful tag or something like that, or at least since
Right.
somebody else did it earlier in the week, I think. But prior to them two, it was the first time it had happened in like a long time. So not too many guys to pick up here because we know Vegas's defense is like kind of cruddy outside of Crosby and Merrick this year, and of course Nate Hobbs. So they should all be rostered in your leagues for sure. On the Chiefs end, we have defensive linemen George Karlaftis and Charles Omenihu. So Karlaftis up to 81% of snaps. Got home for a sack, so like to see the young guy coming on in his second year here. And then Omenihu, he's a rotational guy, but he's going to pop in certain weeks. So more of a Hail Mary addition on that side. Drew Tranquil with a nice game. Spillane with a really nice game. Of course, Hobbs during his week. This was a Snead over McDuffie week, and of course that's going to happen. I think McDuffie's still up on him in the year if I was keeping track, but it's certainly close. So
Yeah, they've been neck and neck.
yeah. Divine Diablo cementing his LB2 role when healthy, playing 80% of snaps. Didn't give us a whole lot in this one. I mean, 4 total tackles, 3 solo with nothing else. But still someone that needs to be rostered. I should probably have him highlighted as well, but just kind of like, I don't know. At this point, you got to be pretty deep to need to be playing Diablo.
And I'm that deep in a lot of leagues because I
hear you.
This was such a bad IDP game. I mean, Max Crosby just got a sack, and he was good enough for 10th. But the Raiders are on bye, so
sweet.
There's
great
nobody to run out and get.
Good. Yeah, exactly. So we'll have Diablo probably for next week.
yeah, we'll bash him then.
Yeah. I saw someone else on it. Yeah. Oh, just speaking on this game. Yeah. I mean, 58 snaps for the Chiefs and 60 for the Raiders. That's both under the average. And 19 and a half was the top score. So yeah, just not much IDP meat on the bone here for this one. So kind of is what it is. That'll take us to Buffalo, Philly, where I was in attendance in this game. So that was fun. Let me check okay, I'll get back to
on the edge of your seat, I bet.
Yeah. We will grab your comment towards the end there. So yeah, I mean, and it started off, pretty darn slow, right? Like sitting through the action that was not happening in that brutal weather was not exactly fun. And I was there with my wife and 2 of her work friends. So like, yeah, we weren't exactly having fun through halftime. So But yeah, a huge game from James Bradbury, 5 defended passes. Would have liked that in the Super Bowl. So let's hope he keeps that going. A really nice game from Kevin Byard. I probably should have him highlighted, but I feel like he's rostered it mostly. I did highlight Nicholas Morrow because we had a Zach Cunningham hamstring injury. So depending on the severity of that, we will need to keep tabs on. But Nicholas Morrow becomes relevant again. So definitely go out and add him. Teron Johnson on the Buffalo side back up to 100% snaps, and he's their big play guy anyway. So if you need a corner, Rasul Douglas, same thing right there with him, 100% snaps. Tyrell Dodson, we were a little worried about Terrell Bernard entering this week. He had picked up an injury throughout the week, but he did manage to play all 100% snaps. So, but Dodson is just a really nice insurance policy if you have the room and are a Bernard manager. So yeah, I would add him if in that scenario. Bradley Roby is the Eagles slot corner. So if you're in CB required leagues, definitely someone that you could roster here and throw a Hail Mary at. And I put Leonard Floyd on there. Hopefully he doesn't get suspended. The little jerk who likes to put his hands on Eagles fans, claiming that they were talking about their family and stuff like that, which is pretty much proven to be untrue. So, although I definitely dislike him now as a player going forward, he was up to 70% of snaps on this one. Not a lot of production to go with it, but that's going to happen. But so he's definitely a matchup dependent guy here going forward. So Will says, Will Morrow over Quincy. I think we need to see where Shaq Leonard lands because Philly, I think, could be an option as well. Ooh, boy. I'm going to stick with Quincy on that one.
I might go Morrow here.
I love it.
If he's worried about Quincy's injury, hold him up. Morrow is probably the guy for at least this week.
Yeah.
I don't see Cunningham playing this week at all. So
yeah, probably not.
He's an old guy, hamstring. It's going to take cold weather up there. It's going to take a little longer to get over.
Well, I hope you're I was just going to say, I hope, Will, you're a subscriber to the site because we're going to have to dig into those matchups and with the injury news to give you a super solid advice on that one a little bit later in the week. So on the Start Sit article, we'll have dived into that hopefully a little further for you. Yeah, because that's a tough one to answer right now, which is why I'm going Quincy. Just because of the track record there, but totally feasible to suggest Morrow as well. But you were gonna say something else.
And I don't remember what that was.
Dude, that happens so much to me all the time.
I'm not even going to try to fake it. I have no idea.
Hassan Reddick, kind of a dud. But Josh Allen is tough to take down from a sacking standpoint. So kind of to be expected, a dud for him in that one. Greg Rousseau has a nice little game with 3 TFLs and a fumble recovery to kind of boost his day, but he, still at 55% of snaps, not someone I am ready to trust here going forward. Jalen Carter, however, up to 80% of snaps without a sack, gave us 3 solos, 1 assist, and 1 TFL, and had the blocked field goal. So I'm a little more ready to trust Jalen Carter here going forward. Especially Fletcher Cox went down in the game. I don't know the severity yet of that either, but yeah. So those are some of the guys that I have takeaways on. So Von Miller, a 0 burger again in 32%. It was funny. I was in the stands and I literally overheard, someone be like, oh, he's gonna have Von Miller in his face all day, like 32% of snaps. Nah, man. Yeah, I almost want to be like, bro, you gotta come check out the IDP guys shows because Von Miller ain't in nobody's face these days.
Yeah, you need to take a bunch of business cards next time and start handing those out.
We need merch. Nate,
Yeah,
where's our
exactly.
merch? We need hats and hoodies and coats and t-shirts because I almost wanted to turn around and be like, brah, Von Miller ain't been in anybody's face. Like you're just saying a big name that you know. But I would have been way more worried about guys like Rousseau, Floyd, and Jordan Phillips in this one.
Russo and Epinesa seem to be like the main two that are producing, and even Epinesa this week didn't do anything. So they're all tough to trust.
Yeah. All right. Our next game is the Ravens and the Chargers. So the Sunday night game. This is another one that didn't have a lot of IDP meat available either.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 71 snaps available to the Chargers, which is fine. And 66 to the Ravens, which is good. About average, but just not a lot of points scored here. So Khalil Mack with his 2 sacks. Jadeveon Clowney got home for a sack, so those were nice. Dean Leonard, the corner for the Chargers, played 100% of snaps, so we have him pegged as a guy to pick up in corner required leagues, and he had a really nice day with the boosted tackle scoring. Again, so all our scoring is from the IDP Invitational, which is a charity tournament blessed by Scott Fish himself. We basically take the Scott Fish Bowl and add IDP players to it. So it's a lot of fun. Same charity spirit and everything. Link is on the website. That is for free. You don't need to be a subscriber to sign up for that. That's a totally free charity tournament that goes on every year. So if you're interested in checking that out, go right now and sign up for 2024. We inflate the corner scoring for that tournament. So that's why you see Dean Leonard at the top here. Roquan and Patrick Queen back to back here. Brandon Stevens finally bounces back after a few dud games in a row here. So, but had still been playing 100% of snaps. So, he finally brought back some production here for us. We've also got Alohi Gilman pegged to someone to pick up. If he's still available, he's back to playing 100% snaps and healthy. Geno Stone still seeing the field. We mentioned this last week that they're basically doing a 3 safety thing as well. So Geno Stone and Marcus Williams both should be on most rosters. Stone playing 82% and Marcus Williams all the way up at 100. The edge rusher for the Chargers, Tuli Pelotu, is the new kind of Khalil Mack, whereas Khalil Mack is the new Joey Bosa, with Bosa being out for the remainder of the year. Not a lot of production for Tuli in this one, but 90% of snaps. Can't ignore that, and the production will come. He's kind of like a Byron Young for me. I really, really like him a lot here going forward, especially for dynasty leagues. And then Jason / Odafe Owe. Again, not a lot of production on his 62% snaps, but I'm still betting on the talent there, and all his peripherals are really, really solid and very high scoring. So I'll turn it over to you for guys you want to talk about.
Yeah, Dean Leonard, he took over for Michael Davis. So they shook up that secondary. So that could be a potential stud going forward, because the Chargers, they always have that one corner throwing out a lot of tackles. So it could be him.
Davis gave up the game-winning touchdown last week, so I think he earned himself a spot on the bench. But he had been a very solid fantasy corner for a long time. So Leonard absolutely has an opportunity here. So
Davis was good about getting around that 7 tackle average for a lot of his games. So to see Leonard come in and play just as bad was great. Not a lot more here. Ronald Darby with 100% and only 2 tackles.
It all went to Stevens.
Darby was always a guy I've streamed for years. Depending on the matchups, he was always one of my favorites. So I think he's about at the end of his career here too. So
that's a guy.
I've seen a lot of old guys I've depended on here over the years. They're on their way out. It hurts my feelings, but
coming to the end of their life cycle here. Justin Madubuike with kind of a dud from what we've expected. Despite having half of a sack still, he's still getting to the quarterback. So, he got hurt. No way. How bad? Don't tell me
I
it
don't
was
think
bad.
it was. I don't think it was anything bad. I don't know if I wrote
Still
that down or
reached
not.
61%
Concussion.
of snaps. Oh, no.
Concussion protocol.
Oh, well, they're already off this week, so that's good. He'll have
Okay.
time to heal then.
Yeah, he
right.
10 sacks. So on the year, so the first time they've had a double-digit sack guy since like 2017.
I'm seeing that now. That's pretty incredible. Yeah. All right. So good that he'll have a week to bounce back from that concussion then from the bye week. So don't panic and definitely don't drop Madubuike there. So, all right. And before we hit the last game, we'll have Will's question here so Thursday night, Seattle, Dallas. Who would we rather play? Mafe, Reed, Taylor, or any Dallas DL or DE not named Parsons? So I guess, are we just picking one out of all that, Will? Because if I'm picking one, I think you said earlier they were the 11th.
It was not a good matchup for Seattle.
Or 11th worst. I thought he clarified it was a good matchup though. IDP people 11th highest. Oh, for linebacker. Oh, New Orleans is 11th. Sorry, I'm mixing the comments. So just one guy out of this group. Well, definitely Mafe over the other Seattle guys. And I don't think. I mean, Odigizua has been playing good, but a defensive tackle versus Mafe's ceiling. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody else I'd rather play. How about you?
There's such a rotation on that Cowboys line with even Dorrance Armstrong, who had a great season last year. He hasn't done much. Sam Williams, he's still only getting 30-40%. It'd be hard to trust anybody outside of Parsons on that defensive line for the Cowboys. And then with over to Seattle, Taylor is, I don't trust him either. He hasn't had a great season. Reed has kind of dropped off a bit since Leonard Williams has come to town.
Right.
I would, if I had Leonard Williams to go with these three, I might take him over even Mafe right now, just because of the tackle upside that he has.
Yeah. It seems like they all just cannibalize each other, which is
everybody cancels each other out. Like, it sucks.
Yeah. That's tough. I'm voting Mafe. It looks like we got a Leonard Williams vote there. So, Will, I mean, we can try to help you out there and when we dive into the points given up for DTs versus DEs, which actually, let me look at last week where Dallas stood, because they're probably not going to change that much from week to week here. So, quickly, Dallas is a very good matchup for DT. So you called it, Sean, and not a good matchup. 28th against DE. So Leonard Williams very much might be the play. I like it. With that discrepancy in points given up per 7th for defensive tackles versus just 28th for defensive ends, I like that call a lot. So I'm going to roll with you on that. This is definitely a setup week for Mafe to be another kind of dud week. So,
right. That'd be my fear.
Very good call. I like it. All right. As we flip to the Bears Vikings, we had a really interesting comment from Will on this one too. I didn't switch to the right one. There we go. Bynum playing deep quite a bit. Metellus, the guy to own. He's dropping Bynum for Zach Moss this week and rolling with Reed Blankenship and Dax Hill. I can't really fault you on that one. Let me just confirm what PFF has recorded for his alignments there. But yeah, see, I think Harrison Smith is, maybe they're both kind of playing deep. But let's see. Not great. It was almost an even split at the free safety spot between Harrison Smith and Cameron Bynum. So 26 snaps for Smith and 25 for Bynum. Now, they both were getting in the box, but Bynum only 14 and Harrison Smith 23. And you're right, Metellus is the guy to own. I will agree with you there. Out of all three, I want Josh Metellus over all of them because, yeah, Metellus 26 in the box, 19 on the defensive line, 18 in the slot. Now, to counteract that, Bynum did play 28 in the slot. So this is a frustrating puzzle to figure out as well. So there's upside still. I think it's Metellus, Bynum, Smith for sure. And then out of the guys you named in your comment there, Dax Hill, Reed, Blankenship, I could see parting ways with Bynum and rolling with those two. What do you think about that one, Sean?
I would almost drop Dax Hill over Bynum.
Okay.
But
yeah, I mean,
I would be fine with it. It's not a huge difference, I don't guess. Because you do have two guys from the same team. I could see if you want to get away from that. Metellus is the linebacker.
Metellus,
he's right.
Definitely,
I would pick up Zach Moss for sure. So I would be dropping one of these guys.
Always offense over defensive backs.
Yeah. Which, okay, so you got two guys from the same team, and the Vikings are on a bye. So, yeah, I would drop Bynum over Metellus for sure.
Hey, Dax Hill.
You need Dax to play this way.
Dax Hill's been playing free safety a lot too, which is not great.
So I think that's why he's wanting to drop Bynum, because they are on the bye week.
Okay.
So you lose both Metellus and Bynum anyway. So between the two, Metellus would be the guy to keep.
Gotcha. Okay. Which Williams there? He said I could grab Williams. Who's a safety that's Williams? I'm sure he'll type it in there. Oh, and Metellus is a free agent. Yeah, you definitely got to grab Metellus for sure. But yeah, that's solid thinking. Yeah, free safety a lot. So maybe Marcus Williams could be someone, but he's on bye too. So Leonard Williams. Okay, for your previous take. Yeah, so gotcha. I like it. I like it a lot. So yeah, we have Josh Metellus. Like I said, every week he's my guy. Metellus, 23 points there. He's just rock solid. Ivan Pace continuing to do awesome. So he's definitely a top pickup. Kyler Gordon for the Bears. He's their slot corner, so he has the most opportunity. So in your corner required leagues, a guy who I've been kind of anti, DJ Wanham, up to 99% of snaps for defensive lineman / edge rusher. You can't ignore that. The production was fine too. 5 tackles, 3 solo, 2 passes defended. Like he should be rostered pretty much everywhere. So DJ Wanham, definitely a top pickup this week. And then Eddie Jackson, again, another free safety, but he's back to 100% snaps. So if you're desperate, that's what we saw there. So we saw Danielle Hunter continuing to be awesome. TJ Edwards continuing to be awesome. Tremaine Edmonds returning to 100% snaps and regaining the green dot. So that means your boy Jack Sanborn, although he saved his week last week with kind of a fluky sack, not so much this week. So yeah, just 24% of snaps for Agent Sanborn. So what do you got on this game?
Terrell Smith had a good game, but I believe he was filling in for Tyreek Stevenson.
Yep, totally.
So
don't chase it.
Yeah, don't. Which I think they're both on bye, so you're not going to really chase any of this. Kyler Gordon is a guy I've been picking up a lot because he is out there.
Yeah,
in a lot of leagues. So
I like Gordon a lot.
Yeah, he has more big play upside than any of the others, I would say. Interceptions, fumbles, whatever. Boy, Jaquan Brisker just saved his day with half a sack, interception, all that. Tackles weren't there again, but that was it's 2 bad teams here. Yeah. So
yepper. So yeah, Montez Sweat came back and had a nice game. But he's going to be tough to trust.
Yeah.
This could have been just a fluke. So it's tough to trust him going forward. So
And Yannick, I know Yannick left the game in Ngakwe, so I don't know if that
yeah.
gave Sweat any more snaps or not.
Yeah. Oh, I had Brian Asamoah at the bottom here just because I wanted to point out 0 defensive snaps, and he is healthy because he played almost exclusively all of the special team snaps. So Asamoah in your dynasty leagues, you
Is
might
not a
just want
thing.
to cut bait
He,
even at this point. Yeah, not looking good.
yeah, he's not a thing, and he's trending in a way where he's not going to be a thing. It's
Yep.
Ivan Pace is, the guy. It would take
Yeah.
him to get injured, and then Anthony Barr, I think, came back, and then you still got Troy Dye in the way.
Yeah.
Asamoah's gone.
Yepper. All right, and we're gonna wrap it up here. I'm just gonna the full sheet here is gonna be available on the written content article that is out and published right now. Available only to subscribers though, so make sure you use that IDP Plus pod if you miss out on all the great deals that were going on this past week or so. But so I'm just gonna rip through the top 10 at each position group as far as pickups that we like this week. So at linebacker, Ivan Pace from the Vikings, Elandon Roberts from the Steelers, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from the Browns, Cody Barton from the Commanders, Sione Takitaki from the Browns, EJ Speed from the Colts, Jerome Baker from the Dolphins, Derek Barnes from the Lions. He might have that dual eligibility, remember? So if he's eligible at defensive line or end, you've got a nice little cheat code there, Derek Barnes. Nicholas Morrow from the Eagles, and Christian Harris from the Texans. At defensive back, they're pretty much all safeties in the top 10. So Javon Holland, if people had given up on him early in the year, you definitely want him back. Jonathan Owens, again, we touched on why, kind of the direct replacement while Darnell Savage is on IR. Josh Metellus for the Vikings. Every week he's going to be in the top 10. PJ Locke for the Broncos. Jalen Thompson for the Cardinals. Much better alignments he's playing versus Budda Baker. Amani Hooker for the Titans. He's your 100% snap guy as a safety. Jair Brown and Tashawn Gibson, both from the 49ers, I think are both going to have some nice opportunity here going forward. Marcus Williams from the Ravens and Jordan Battle from the Bengals, who is playing more of the strong safety role, getting the opportunistic alignment roles in the box. So Jordan Battle should be rostered. At defensive end, we said just touched on DJ Wanham playing 99% of the snaps. Amazing. So you got to have him rostered. Bradley Chubb could see an uptick in production with the unfortunate loss of Jalen Phillips. Jadeveon Clowney from the Ravens continues to turn in a really nice year, getting to the quarterback almost every week here in the past few weeks. Michael Heck from the Rams continues to turn in a nice season. Tui Pelotu from the Chargers is just played 90% of snaps and is in pretty much every snap player for the Chargers as an edge rusher. BJ Ojulari from the Cardinals continues to ramp up his playing time and giving us solid production. This week went without a sack, but gave us a solid tackle for, which is very encouraging for the young rookie edge rusher. Harold Landry from the Titans, a very strong snap player, and he's fully healthy now. Odafe Owe has great peripherals. He's going to have lumpy production, but should definitely be rostered. Cameron Hayward jumped back to 81% of snaps. He seems healthy, ready to go, and got a sack. And then Kobe Turner for the Rams, 2 sacks this week. He is just looking like a great rookie who's, really coming on in the second half of the season. So yeah, that takes us to the end of the show, boys and girls. Thank you for an awesome inaugural live IDP Plus recap episode here. I appreciate Sean Teague jumping on with me. Sean, what's your Twitter handle again?
At Sean8386.
There you go, Sean8386 on Twitter. I am Steve Tomasin, aka Dynasty Santa, and we appreciate everyone being here. And thank you for listening. And we will see you next week.